everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Today we're looking at another unit by Qlearsoul, spelled with a Q for a reason that nobody can explain. And I'm really excited because the first unit we looked at had a couple of issues, but it showed a lot of promise. Now this is a completely different concept. Rather than being an all-in-one unit, this is a system in a box with a separate turntable with a built-in amplifier and external passive speakers. $250. So keep that in mind as we do a full unboxing, test, configuration, and review. Don't forget, we're going to give you a direct feed, of course. We try to do that in every video on this channel. Who else does that here on YouTube? Not enough people. Anyway, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss this. Well, it's a big day here at Record-ology. Well, it's not really like a big day, but there's a big box, and it's a huge box by comparison to what we usually have on the workbench. In fact, it's hanging off the workbench. That's right, we're back here with Qlearsoul. It's Qlearsoul, but spelled with a Q. That's supposed to be a Q. And we reviewed one of their record players recently. It was beautiful, but it was one of those that had a not so hot preamp. And I'm excited to see if they've got that solved with this model. That's a pretty cool looking retail box as well, which is weird because this is like direct to consumer stuff. So not sure why they're putting it in a retail box, but this is an all-in-one solution. But rather than be just like a box with built-in speakers, this is a turntable with included separate speakers. And check this out. Once you open the shipping box, get to the retail box, there's another box. I don't think I've ever seen a third box like it's like Pandora's box. So the first Qlearsoul unit that we reviewed was a beautiful unit. It had so much potential, but didn't quite live up to expectations because of a bad preamp. Now, as you're going to see here, the packaging is on point, and I'm assuming that the unit, as we unbox it, is going to look beautiful, but everything has to be working, including packaging, value, feature set, build quality, sound quality, and the sound quality is going to rely on several good components: cartridge, wiring, amplification, preamplifier, etc., etc. So if all those, even power supply. So time will tell if this lives up to what it should be doing or if we've got another issue with darn preamps. All right, let's start with the speakers themselves. They are wrapped in plastic, as speakers often are. And let's take a look here, all right? I like the finish. I like this kind of gray, black, charcoal finish. This is like my preferred electronics color. I was never a BPC hater, black plastic crap from the 90s, especially people like that BPC is black plastic crap. I love black plastic electronics, but that was like my baseline, you know, in the 90s coming of age. That's what our Sonys and Panasonics and everything looked like. That being said, I would prefer this color over, and this is not plastic, this is like a veneered MDF. I would prefer a dark color like this, or even like a stark white over a brown wood grain. I'm not a huge wood grain guy, especially like mahogany. I don't think it's bad, it's just not my preference. Okay, this speaker feels good. I'm not sure if these are active or passive. They're probably passive. The grills are tabbed for easy removal. And this looks like speakers that we have seen before. And these might sound really good. Looks like we got a two-way speaker with a paper cone woofer, or I should say driver, and then a silk domed, by appearances anyway, silk domed tweeter. On the bottom, we've got silicone rubber feet. And on the back, we have tabbed speaker connections and a bass port. And if we look inside the bass port, we can see the driver for the tweeter. So it's a true speaker. Nothing that I despise more than fake tweeters. I think that's probably my most despised thing with affordable entry-level equipment. So affordable doesn't mean it has to be cheap. Just a cursory glance at this shows this speaker to be the same. So these are just passive speakers. Amplifier will be on the main turntable itself. I do want to mention too that the grill fabric looks nice. I think it's a pretty good look, and the badging looks professional as well. I like that. Okay, it's platter time. Let's go ahead and pull this out. So The first notable thing here, and this is a very good thing, is that this is not a cast aluminum platter like we see so much. This is very heavy, quite heavier in fact. This is a cast iron platter. And the point of all that extra weight is that it has more mass inertia. And with more mass inertia, it's like things in motion tend to stay in motion kind of a thing. And that helps dampen any inconsistencies in motor speed. So it just kind of helps the wow and flutter number stay lower, helps the sound be more smooth. You always want your platter as heavy as possible. And then we've got their little felt mat. I like this logo. This is a very cool logo, sort of like an exploded record.
This is CBC.
By the looks of this, I think this is a slightly less than full-size platter, but nearly full-size, so the record will probably hang over like a 1/4 inch at most, which I think is good. Here is the main turntable itself. Now, if you remember from the first video, I'll go ahead and link to that in the description down below. There was a couple humorous things in the manual. These guys were great though, because I gave them my feedback and they were very receptive to it, and they committed to making changes all the way around. The preamp, the verbiage that was a little off. There was a diagram pointing to the wrong thing in the user manual, but they were very much like, oh, thank you for the feedback. We'll look into this. We'll get on it. And I think that's commendable for sure. So again, this is the SoulBox S1 model HP H007. This is one of 3 turntable systems that they sell. They have another one that is kind of like a compact all-in-one system, like all-in-one in a box kind of a system that looks really cool. So look at this. It looks pretty good. Tells you not to have your belt twisted over. Make sure it's on the right point on the pulley, etc., etc. So yeah, okay, there is a sub platter, but it's one of those detached sub platter designs. I don't want to give too much of this away, but I want to keep an eye out for anything wonky in the instructions here. If I remember right, it had to do with where they were pointing to. Okay, yeah, so this shows plugging the power into the actual power receptacle. So I think that has been fixed, unless we are missing something else. Also, this does have Bluetooth version 5. All right, dust cover now. This looks to be of the clear polycarbonate variety with a very ever so slight blue tint. We'll keep that protected for now until we're ready for it. I love how it has this little symbol here, this little note here. Counterweight is here. And that's to prevent people from accidentally throwing away packaging material. Speaking of which, this is really well packed. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the styrofoam there. And I'm going to not throw away the counterbalance, which is tucked right in there. And there we have the main unit. So let's go ahead and remove this from its protective bag. And voila, there we go. Ooh, very handsome. I love that color, that kind of charcoal black ash look. It's got a wood like a wood veneer look, but it's a black wood veneer. I think that's really nice. That might be my favorite color combo, or color way, as they say, at the current time. So, all right, let me get some of this reorganized here, and we'll go on from there. All right, and some of the other packaging here, this was part of the speaker packaging. We've got a manual, an alignment protractor, and a belt. We've got speaker wire in here, which is basic tab speaker wire, a temporary 45 adapter until you can order your custom Record-ology adapter. By the way, this is not our signature orange. This is our new Harvest Gold, I believe we're calling it. Part of our 2 adapter set that's only going to be available in those boxes that go on sale September 1st. And once they're gone, they're gone. So that's cool, very fall vibes. And did I mention the DC power adapter? Okay, let's peruse the turntable itself. We've got our styrofoam. This is closed cell foam, by the way, which is a notch up, step up. Here's our sub platter, properly greased. This is a dense plastic. I don't believe they use ABS for this. It's more of a, I don't know if it's a resin based or something like that, but it feels more dense. And then we've got a protective foam slice under here that's got a little bit of grease. Okay, here we go. Oh, look how, oh, it's like butter. Let's give it a spin. Oh, look at that bearing. That, my friends, is a beautiful, well lubricated bearing. That combined with that heavy cast iron platter is going to be great. That's going to do a fantastic job. While we're in this neighborhood, let's go ahead and put on our belt. I'm opening up the bag that doesn't have the belt in it for no apparent reason. Now switching to the bag with the belt in it, and we will go ahead and attach. It's a flat belt design, so it'll ride right down in there. And as I've mentioned, if the speed is off, make sure that it's not riding up on the edge of the pulley like that. Sometimes that'll happen, and the speed will be off. So you got to keep it right down the middle. These brass pulleys here really like to keep that belt in the right spot. So just make sure that it's there. Give it a couple spins too to make sure it settles in on the sub platter. Same process if it's an external belt that goes on the outside of the platter, which I thought this was initially. Typically the belts like to be near the bottom of that sub platter, and then we can lower the platter on, which I'll do in a minute. But first I want to zoom out here and I want to show you kind of around the unit, specifically the back, the bottom, all that stuff. So there's nothing on the sides. This looks to be like a slice of MDF. It's about 1 inch thick. It is quite heavy. And as I turn it up on its end, oh, this is really interesting. So we've got 3 rigid rubber feet. I've seen this design before, and there's 3 feet. 3 points of contact is always the most stable, more stable than 4. You will never have a wobble if you have 3 points of contact, but you still need to make sure whatever surface you're putting it on is level. These are not adjustable. There's the bottom of that bearing that looks good, and the box for the electronics, the solid board for the plinth, and then a little channel here with a plastic cover on it for the wiring. But what's interesting to me is this. Check this out. I'm truly perplexed what this is. By the way, I can't find that stack of shiny pennies I used in that video the other day. I don't have coins laying around. Like, I think all the coins I own are in the door of my car. And, well, I have a coin collection too. Anyway, you know what I mean. I did come across this 1999 Denver Mint penny, and I think it's compatible. So we'll give it a shot. Button cell battery, but what would that be for? Or is it maybe a motor speed adjustment? That's kind of what I'm leaning towards, but let's find out here. I'm going to open it. Oh, it's a motor access point. That is rather cool. Interesting that they would engineer a cover for that rather than just drilling a couple holes like most companies do. I've never seen that before, but it's a 2-speed motor. These can also be wired for the 3rd speed, but in this case it's not. That's good. I mean, you can adjust the speed. There's a way to do it as it should be, and that's rather serviceable. So serviceability is something sometimes you just don't see anymore. So I'm glad to see it in this case. It's almost big enough to like replace the motor. Okay, this is wild. They even printed, actually molded instructions into the back of the cap. Okay, looking at the back panel here, we have an RCA output, stereo of course, with a grounding post, the 15-volt power supply, and the speaker tab connections. The amplifier is built into this unit, and then a power switch right there. If you want to take a look at the spec sheet, go ahead and hit pause and look now. Also, I want to point out that they include this consumer rights document, and this whole manual is a more detailed version of that other diagram. It's got more pictures, and it's really well done. If you're enjoying this show, which I really hope you are, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. We do a lot of content, more than anybody out there. We do a lot of content, like several videos a week kind of content, and they're full-blown reviews, and I'm pretty proud of that. We also do giveaways. We've given away tons of turntables, records, accessories, and you never know when the next one is coming. So keep that in mind. Haven't done a shot from this angle in a while. It's not quite as ergonomic for me. That's why I usually have the camera on the left, if you've noticed that. But I wanted to change it up a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and put this cast iron platter on. Blink and you'll miss it, because all you have to do is set it into place. The pure adhesion of gravity is all that keeps it attached to that sub platter. And yeah, that JYK motor can power this big heavy platter with no problem. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the built-in, or the included, I should say, felt mat. Okay, let's go ahead and remove this. Apparently there was another version of this turntable that had a straight tone arm, and based on user feedback, customer feedback, they have redesigned it with an S-shaped tone arm, which I think is really good. It sounds like they really listen to their customers and they're making changes, which is great. I mean, that's the best thing that we could hope for. This is a pretty hefty matte finish metal tone arm. The stub is also metal. The base here, the sleeve as I call it, is plastic. Seems to be pretty solid too, not a lot of movement. We do have an adjustable anti-skate, and you can see the cueing lever right down there. For controls, we have machined metal. I think those are aluminum knobs, very nice. And this one is a 3-position switch for Bluetooth 33 and 45. It is a 2-speed stereo turntable. This will be the switch. I think, nope, no switch. That's purely a potentiometer. So that's a volume knob with some nice drag applied. No switch needed on this because remember there was a power switch on the back. Let's look at the head shell. Okay, we have the Audio-Technica 3600L stereo phono cartridge, factory mounted in this tabbed head shell design. And that's a very good thing. You could replace it if you wanted to. It doesn't look like there's a lot of alignment options though. All right, got the dust cover on now. Everything's wired up and we're ready to go. It looks sharp. It's a very pretty system. Okay, we got about 3 grams on the tracking force. Ooh, 3.01. Almost nailed it. With the unit powered on in the back, this red LED lights up. And we can now rotate the platter by moving the tone arm over. And notice how effortlessly it rotates. Like you would think that having such a heavy platter compared to those aluminum ones, which are fine in their own right, but this is on another level of weight, that it would be slower or more sluggish, but it's really not. That JYK motor is no slouch. Just because you see it in suitcase players and a lot of all-in-ones and entry, it's a good motor. It's a really good motor. All right, it's time to check the speed. And also I'm going to set the anti-skate to 3. So that's kind of the baseline for setting anti-skate is match your tracking force. We're going to leave that there. And then I'm going to test to make sure that the anti-skate is really being applied. But let's start with speed and see how accurate the speed is. Strobe warning, by the way. This is a strobe warning. Trying to break the habit of using the zoom a little too much. Keep it a little wider. It's kind of a goal I've set for myself. I look back at some of these videos. I'm like, dang, you don't need to zoom in that much. Plus, it takes more light the further down the lens you are. Okay, so let's start with 33 RPM. That'll be this band, right? You know what? I'm going to use my new favorite pointer, this pencil. I stole this idea from Via Westlife. He always uses a pencil, and being a huge Christmas fan too, I'm going to go ahead and use a Christmas pencil, but this will be 33 RPM. That'll be 45. And here we go. Off to the races we go. We want to see those lines as still as possible. And they are moving a hair to the left, which indicates a hair fast, but that is close enough for government work, my friends. Not bad at all. Now going to the middle band, 45 RPM, follow suit. That's very, very, very good tolerances that I like. I don't know about you guys, but I think we do some of the most thorough reviews here on YouTube. A lot of people will review a record player they don't even have, which is mind-boggling. How do you do that? How do you review a record player that you don't even have in your possession? But I've seen it before on channels that will remain unnamed. And not only that, I want to give you guys like a direct feed whenever possible. Certainly an ambient sound test. We're going to do both in this video. We're going to listen to the speakers. Obviously, we'll do an ambient in-the-room test, and we will do a direct feed so we can hear how that preamp works on the line output as well. I wanted to mention briefly too that this is a nice metal cueing lever, and the lift shelf has a nice triangular rubber on it, and that makes the point of contact with the tone arm minimal. And if you watched our recent video on skipping, that will minimize the likelihood of this getting hung up on that, because again, all these lift shelves rely on gravity to pull them down once you lower the cueing lever. With the beautiful custom Record-ology adapters, including our Seeberg adapter right there, we are going to rotate this. That's so you can see that it is indeed spinning. With a white disc, it's hard to tell. Anti-skate, again, is calibrated to the tracking force, which even though this little dial back here shows 2.5, I set it with the scale to 3. So it's 3 grams, and I've applied 3 grams, or the value of 3, I should say, on anti-skate. And we're going to go ahead and lower this And it's neutral. That's exactly what we want. There is anti-skate. We put it in the middle. It should be neutral as well. And obviously over here. Now sometimes it'll pull in a little bit from the outside edge, and that's okay. If you have one that starts here and pulls in to about here and then stops, that's also okay. But this looks completely neutral. And because it is adjustable, like watch, if I manually turn this off, you're going to see it pull inward. So now all of the anti-skate is removed. Sorry to interrupt this video, but before we get back to the review, did you know we have a new podcast? That's right, an audio-only podcast posted right here on YouTube, which is a video platform. Explain that to me. Anyway, if you want to listen to us chat about our vinyl origin stories, check out our episode 1, which is posted last Wednesday. Our goal, depending on how this is received, is to keep doing these on a weekly basis on Wednesdays. So join us for a 15-minute chat and learn how we got into vinyl records. All right, that's it. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. For music today, we will be using friend of the channel, Laura Ainsworth's album, Top Shelf, which is autographed and super cool. Okay, remember how I said that the platter was not full size? This is what I'm talking about. So there's like, in this case, more like almost a half inch, somewhere between a 1/4 inch and a half inch of overhang there, but it makes it very handy to grasp the side of a record when you want to remove it. I like that. Speaking of the rotation, let's go ahead and take a gander at any platter wobble. Look at the platter, not the mat or the record itself, but that's pretty dang steady. I don't really see any platter wobble, which is good. And in terms of motor noise, it's very, very quiet. There's plenty of bass. It's very full. So far, I'm liking what I'm hearing.
Chipping in for gasoline.
Pretty dang good. They are very bassy. The bass has just a touch of boominess. Overall, the sound so far is fantastic. So let's keep going on here. Wow, the bass is incredible. It's a lot of bass. In fact, I'm not a huge, I used to be in the 90s. I had the subwoofer in my truck and I was like this big bass guy, Sir Mix-a-Lot, if you can believe it. But now I kind of dial my bass back a little bit. I would probably, if I had a tone control on this, which I wish it did, I would probably dial that back a little bit. But that's a very listenable, present, bright, and enhanced with good mids and bass sound. So yeah, this is great so far.
So if you see them anywhere.
Okay, let's go ahead and test the auto stop if there is one. Okay, so yeah, it was a 3-minute timer and it shut off. That's awesome. This is fantastic news. That means that we've got a good preamp, thankfully. That was my biggest fear with this based on the other model. And this one, at least the one I have here, sounds perfect for what it is. So far, I'm thinking this is a fantastic starter turntable setup. I've got almost confirmed double thumbs up on this. We'll see how the direct feed is here because this will be coming out of a different input than we heard before. We've used the built-in amplified output. We've heard that amplifier and the preamplifier, but what about the preamp and the line output?
Advertising young love for sale. If you want to buy my wares, follow me and climb this women. I am always dressed in style. fire. If a man says he don't, he's not a man, he's a liar. So don't let yourself be sad. If what looks good is bad, reach out, accept the things that... Just as long as he smiles at me and keeps himself in shape, that's you low. But once you get that glow, some beat their brains for love, other fellas miss their trains for love. Screen stars emote for love, even politicians vote for love.
All right, guys, I am really impressed. And looking at the reviews on Amazon, people have great things to say about this. It's got fantastic reviews. Now, I know you got to take that with a grain of salt because sometimes there's inflated reviews on there, but this one looks to have a lot of genuinely happy customers, which I think is a cool thing. Again, double thumbs up. It's fully earned it now, and I think that this would be a great starter unit. I'll put a link down below. Don't forget about our membership program. Only $1 for the $1 membership program. And speaking of that, we've got some all new emojis for members, and that's really, really cool. And the more members we get, the more that we unlock. So you guys can help unlock more custom emojis that are only available to members by joining. So more people join. That would be cool. That's just one of many ways to support the channel. We've got merch, we've got adapters, and don't forget, again, this is probably the last chance I'm going to get to mention it before September 1st, but on September 1st, our box sets are going on sale, 20 of them. When they're gone, they are gone. Whew, that's a lot. And we're just scratching the surface here at Record-ology. We've got so many things planned, and I can't wait to take you along for the journey. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, it's time to hit that button and the bell notification. And if everything is in alignment, you might actually get notified when our videos post, which would be great. But that's going to do it for today, guys. So happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.